Hello, amazing people. Welcome to this electrifying session of Qubits, where innovation meets inspiration. Hack the Mountains is not just another hackathon, it's a vibrant community that brings together passionate individuals from around the world to innovate, collaborate, and create. Thank you for joining us today for another exciting session of Qubits, the pre hackathon tech series hosted by Hack the Mountains. Um, my name is Anshika, and I'm really excited to be here with all of you. And we are incredibly excited to kick off today's Qubits with a phenomenal speaker whose credentials and accomplishments set him apart in the tech community. Please join me in welcoming Mohit Bhat, a distinguished blockchain and full stack developer. Mohit is a GSOC mentor and has made significant contributions as a part of GSOC with Scorelab. His journey in the world of blockchain doesn't stop there. He was also a key participant in the Summit of Bitcoin, further solidifying his expertise in this groundbreaking technology. As a certified Ethereum developer and an Ethereum India Fellow, Mohit's knowledge and experience in blockchain technology are truly exceptional. His role as an international speaker has allowed him to share his insights and inspire countless developers across the globe. Mohit, we are really honored to have you here with us, and the floor is yours now.
Thank you, Anshika, for like a great introduction. So, yeah, I think if the screen is visible, yeah. Hey everyone, welcome to the session on decoding Web3, all about blockchain development and hackathons. I'm Mohit. I'm a lead blockchain engineer at Singularity Singapore. I'm a project admin and mentor at GSOC, at Code for Tech for Métis organization as well, a participant of Summer of Bitcoin, GitHub externship, and of course, I'm a hackathon geek like you all. I had participated and won a lot of hackathons globally, like Tokyo, Hackafest, and Istanbul, and all those things. So, if you have any questions regarding hackathons as well, I would be like happy to answer them. Today's session, I would be mostly covering about why blockchain, what exactly blockchain is. If you are newbie to the blockchain, I will be covering those aspects, and then I will be talking about like what things you need to be become a blockchain developer. What are the dApp development life cycle? What things you need to develop a full-fledged application, and I will also share resources, roadmaps with you like you can follow to become a better developer in the series. Let's get started with the session now. Before starting learning any technology or learning anything about any stuff, it is always important that we understand why we need to learn that particular tech stack. So here we are talking about blockchain. So this is very important for you to know why blockchain. What is the benefit that you are getting from like learning all the things that blockchain has to give you. So the first primary reason is like the job market is at boom. Uh, this is the thing that I say to everyone who comes to the blockchain. If you compare the salaries, the jobs that are present in the Web3 ecosystem, it is far, far more than what you will get in the Web2. This is because like this technology is new. There is lack of developers in this field, and lack of like best and good developers as well. So that is one of the primary reasons that the pay range is very very high. So whatever you get from like the FANG companies from Google, Microsoft, you will get like 2x, 3x of that money in blockchain if you like work on your skills and work on your development and uh, the tech stack that blockchain needs. If I talk about like a Rust engineer or a Solidity engineer, if you are a protocol engineer who codes in Rust or Go language, and if you know like how to build the blockchains, you have worked on Bitcoin or Ethereum, if you know about all those things, you can easily get like 100K, 150K of salaries. If you are a security engineer in blockchain who like basically just audits the contracts, if you are like very good in auditing, finding bugs in smart contracts, you can get paid like monthly like 30K and 40K through like a lot of programs. So there is like on chain Code for Arena and all those platforms where you can just find the bugs and you get paid directly uh, in a month-long context. So it has a lot of things to cater you if you are like a blockchain developer. The next part is like lot of entrepreneurial opportunities. So if you want to launch a startup, this is a good space as of now. AI and blockchain are like currently the hot topics in the market, and blockchain being very new, it's still in like the building stage. So if you have a great idea, if you have like some great thing that you can deliver to the market, there are a lot of investors sitting there who like are ready to fund you. You don't have to go to the big investors. They are like small investors as well, that just directly gives you like 500k USD or $1 million, like easily to get your company starting with all the capital that you need. So if you want to launch a startup, there is a lot of things that you can build in blockchain. There are a lot of like things that needs to be built, and if you are a developer who has that knowledge, you can build those things, get the money from investors, and be the first one who is like building that particular stack and uh, uh, generating the revenue out of it. There is a great example of Polygon, the Matic network. So they were like the Indian team only from the IITs. They built something on the Ethereum network, and today like they are like uh, they have like the bigger share in the market. So you can be the next person to do that. The third point, of course, it's a future technology. It has a lot of things to give you, and uh, it's still in the development stage. As I said, it's, I think from my perspective, it's just 10-20% built. You still need to go to 80%, and uh, for that we need developers. And I think for next 10 years there is no problem in this particular technology. The fourth point is very important from the student's perspective. So normally when you like try to choose a domain, let's say you want to become a AI uh, developer, like you want to be a machine learning engineer or some other cybersecurity engineer. So mostly if I compare blockchain with AI, so in AI you usually have to do mathematics. If you want to be into the core data science and all those stuff, so you need Python. There is not a lot of knowledge, not a lot of full stack knowledge you require to be an AI engineer. So but in blockchain is totally aligns with like your full stack knowledge. Blockchain is just replacing the database layer. So you are storing data in a database like MongoDB or MySQL. Now you are storing that data on uh, blockchain network. That is the only thing that has been replaced mostly. And then how you interact with it, a little bit of how you interact with it and where you deploy your code or write your code. Rest of the front end, the back end remains the same. You still need the front end knowledge. You still need uh, uh, the app development knowledge. So it totally aligns with your full stack skills. So if you are a web developer, if you are a app developer, so you're already a blockchain developer. Okay, so you just need like just little bit of more of blockchain knowledge and the Ethereum and all those Bitcoin knowledge. You are good to go in this ecosystem. And of course the last point is like if you want to try something new every day. So I like this part. So many developers are those who don't want to write the same thing again and again. You don't want to write that Java code again and again for next 5 years or 6 years. So if you are that kind of developer who wants new challenges, new things to explore every day, come to the blockchain ecosystem. Every day you will find a new tech stack, a new thing to solve, new problem to solve, because this is evolving technology. So every day there are new challenges, new things, new bugs. So you have to keep solving it, and I think that is like what most of the good engineers want in their life. So yeah, so this is all about why blockchain. Now let's come on to like what exactly is blockchain. This is for the people who are like very new to this ecosystem. They don't know about the blockchain thing. So normally I will talk about in the layman terms what is the difference between Web3 and Web2 and Web3. How blockchain is solving the problems that Web2 has. So normally nowadays, like if you are building an application, what you do, you basically deploy it on Google Cloud or an AWS server. So those servers are present at a specific location. If we just not think about like replication and all those things, it is with a single company, right? So Google Cloud is like Google and AWS. So you are deploying an application at a single server, a kind of single server, which is with the company. And now what happens, like if something happens with that company or that service, let's say they like just shut down tomorrow, whatever the application you have built, you will not be able to use it. Or maybe if Google Cloud says I want to like not allow these kind of users to interact with your application or do that thing and all those stuff, so they can bar you from doing it. Let's say take example of Google Drive. So you upload your videos or images to the Google Drive and suddenly like, and it has happened in the past, like Google has stopped people from using it. So you are not allowed to use your Google Drive from today onwards. So they can bar you, they can stop you, and that is like what is the problem with the single point of failure and a single server. You might have heard about uh, Google's mistake recently as well. So they'll just wiped off a lot of data of a pension company, right? So it was a single point of failure, and it was like a good thing that the pension company had the backups with them. Otherwise, it would be a disaster for all the data they had. Now, how blockchain is solving this? So now instead of storing your application, instead of deploying your application on a single server and storing your data on a single server, single database, what blockchain says is like these blockchain people develop the client software. Okay, I am talking in terms of layman terms. So they just developed a client software and asked like a lot of computers, like your computer, my computer, other person's computer, to run this client software. Okay, once everybody runs this client software, they are connected to each other. Okay, and this is what we called as now a network. This is a network, right? You are connected to each other, and this is what we called as a blockchain network. Now if you have to deploy an application, you have to store data. You basically send it to the network, and all the computers on the network store your data and store your application. So when somebody has to interact with it, they just hit the blockchain network. All the nodes basically provide the data. So now what is the difference? Previously you were storing your data on a single server. Now you are storing your data on computers around the world. Because if we talk about Bitcoin network or Ethereum network, which are like the primary blockchains, so in those networks everyone is storing data in their computers. Okay, and they are like checking the transactions. Every computer is checking the transactions. Now there is no single point of failure. Let's say hundreds of computers gets shut down tomorrow due to XYZ reason, due to natural disaster or something. There are still other millions of computers ready to provide you with the data, provide you with your application access. And if let's say those hundreds of computers stop you from using that application, there are many other uh, applications as well, other like computers as well, which will basically allow you to interact with that and retrieve your data. So that is how Web3 is solving the problem that Web2 has, that is a centralization problem. And that is why we call it as a decentralized network. And as data is stored on everyone's computer, everyone is checking the data and all those things. We called it as like immutable. You cannot change it, and you cannot like tamper with the data. And the blockchain development, the protocol development basically deals with like how this client software is built and how they like built on a consensus. Because when you like connect a lot of computers and they store data and check data, you need to interact with each other and tell everyone, okay, this is the right data, this is the wrong data. And you have to like pass through the messages. So that is what is the work of an blockchain engineer. So if you are a protocol engineer who build blockchain, you basically write down the code of networking, how the networking happens, how the consensus happens. Consensus means like how everyone like say, okay, this is correct, this is wrong, how they like come on a consensus, like if everything is correct or not. And this is what a blockchain engineer has to write. And all this code basically gets written. Initially it was written in C++, Python languages, but now it is being written in Go language and Rust language. So if you want to become a protocol engineer, if you want to become a blockchain protocol engineer, blockchain engineer, you can learn Rust code and just start writing down the code to build the blockchain networks. So now let's talk about how exactly the blockchain works. So I think a lot of people know about this, but let's give a like very quick overview of how exactly the blockchain works. So by the name itself, like it's a chain of blocks, right? So what happens? Like let's take an example of Bitcoin network. So if you want to let send money, you want to send a money to another user on the network. So you basically just think of you like write from to and value. So you just mention like what is who is from which account I want to send money, to whom I want to send money, and how much I want to send money. This is basically called as transaction on the blockchain network. So you just think of it as a JSON object. So you create this JSON object, sign it with your private key, and send it to the network. Now, what happens on the network is everyone is running that client software, that Bitcoin software, okay, through which they are connected. So when you basically create this transaction, this JSON object, and send it to the network, everyone will receive this particular transaction in their uh, system, and we call that system where like all these transactions get stored is called memory pool, like mempool. It is a temporary storage, let's say in your RAM or in your storage. Just think of it as a RAM where like temporarily all the transactions get stored until it's basically included in a block. So once you send this particular transaction to the network, everyone's basically receive it, store it for a temporary phase, and then there are miners and validators. So these miners and validators has a task to create these blocks. So what they do is like they just pick bunch of 1,000 transactions, verify it, like whether all the transactions are correct, whether they had the balance or not, and all those things, and put it into the block. So this is the like the transaction list where like they put like 1,000 transactions. Every block has a limit, like the size limit. You cannot put unlimited number of transactions. So from a list of millions of transactions that has been received, they just pick 1,000 transactions, put it into a block, the validator, the miners, and then they just basically do a proof of work to find a nonce, okay, and just put this data. Actually all these things happens from the client software itself. The software automatically do all these things. You don't have to do this manually, okay. uh, and you create the block header, you put the transaction list, and once you do it, you send that block to everyone. And once everyone verifies the content of the block, whether like the previous hash was matching the next hash, whether this particular block's hash was matching the next block's hash. So if you like look specifically on this block, so every blocks basically store the hash of the previous block. So if you change anything in the previous block, if you change anything in any of the previous block, the whole blockchain will get disrupted, and uh, this is like how it basically prevents from tamper proof. Okay, so if somebody tampers with a particular block, particular transaction in the block, so the hash of the whole block will change, and ultimately the hash of the next block will change, because this block is storing the hash of the previous block, then the next block is storing the hash of the previous block. If this block changes, this block's hash will also change, this block's hash will also change. And in this way, if you are doing this, everyone is storing all these blocks, every computer is storing all these blocks. If somebody's computer changes this, it should change in everyone's computer, and that is not possible, because everyone's client software will check like whether everything is correct or not, whether the hashes are matching the previous hashes and this hash. If it doesn't match, they will just reject that new block that that particular miner and validator has created. And because of this chaining of blocks and storing of hashes and cryptography and all those things in this, we say like the blockchain is tamper proof. It is decentralized because everyone is storing, and this is how basically also a transaction happens, and how the blockchain basically stores all the data. I hope you understood like how the blockchain works and uh, all of these things works. Yeah. So if we talk about how blockchain has evolved in the last 5 to 6 years, so initially in 2008, 2009, Bitcoin was launched. Bitcoin was only about uh, sending money. Okay, you cannot like code anything on Bitcoin network. You cannot deploy any application on Bitcoin network. It was just about sending values, so from to and value. Like if I want to send 10 bitcoins, so that was all about what the Bitcoin network is. Today, also, the Bitcoin network is in the market, and it is like one of the safest and the best blockchain, I would say, the best blockchain use case. So, initially, it started with the Bitcoin network, which brought the idea of decentralization. And then in like 2015, 2016, Ethereum was launched, and Ethereum was the first blockchain that brought up the idea of smart contracts, an idea of compiler, and all those things. I will talk about this in a minute. And then today we are on the blockchain 3.0. Actually, we have crossed this 3.0 as well. We are like 4.0, 5.0. That means basically there are a lot of blockchains in the market now, a lot of things, ZK, uh, zero knowledge proofs, uh, roll ups, uh, NFTs, tokens. A lot of things has come into the market. It's not only about now decentralization and blockchain. There are a lot of things that has attached to the whole Web3 ecosystem, and we are just growing and growing, and more and things are being built. The TPS is also increasing. The speed of the blockchains are also increasing. Initially in Bitcoin, you can only do like 4 to 6 transactions per second. It was taking 10 minutes to generate a block, but with Ethereum, it went down to 12 seconds, and then with new blockchains, it's just 1 second, 2 second. Every block is generated after every 2 seconds and 3 seconds, and yeah. So let's discuss the dApp development now, like which is about the Ethereum blockchain, the EVM kind of blockchain. So as I said, initially it was Bitcoin, but then in 2015, 2016, Ethereum blockchain was launched. It was the first programmable blockchain. Okay, they brought a great thing into that software that everyone runs on their computer. That was this Ethereum virtual machine. In Bitcoin, there was no compiler, there was no code run kind of thing. You cannot run code, you cannot compile anything, you cannot test anything. It was just a ledger, a kind of record management, like this person has this much amount of money, this person has sent this much amount of money. That was what Bitcoin did. But with Ethereum, they launched a very like lightweight compiler, which we call as Ethereum virtual machine. We will not say it a compiler, it is a complete set of computer only, which runs in everyone's computer with that client software. So it has like program counter, stack, memory. And now because of this compiler, because of this virtual machine, you can write smart contracts. Smart contracts is nothing, it's just code. You can now you can just now write code which can be deployed on a blockchain network. And what we mean by deployment is like it gets stored on everyone's computer. So whatever code you basically write gets stored on everyone's computer, and whenever somebody wants to like use that code, they just hit it, and every computer basically takes that code, runs it, and gives the output. So that is what we mean by deploying. It gets stored on the blockchain network. And that was like what brought the dApp development thing, that what introduced the revolution to the Web3 ecosystem. And mostly the smart contracts are written in Solidity language. There are other languages as well, like there is like Rust language. Some contracts are written in Rust in some languages. In Ethereum also they have launched the Rust language, Rust kind of language for developing the smart contracts. Then there is Viper, another language, Solidity and Viper. So these are mostly the two primary things, but Solidity is like the most famous one, most easiest one to use. And the extension is like .sol. So it's same thing kind of C++ and JavaScript. Solidity is a mixture of C++ and, oh, I would say Python and JavaScript kind of language. If you already know Python, C++ and JavaScript, I think you can learn Solidity in just 1 week. So it would be like very easy to learn, and uh, in 1 or 2 weeks you can just basically get hands on and you can start developing things. It's not too difficult as a language. So this is like how a Solidity smart contract looks like. So you write the version of the Solidity that you are using, then like the contract, you just uh, it's kind of a class. So in Java and C++ you have a class. So here you just write contract, the name of the contract, and then the thing is you define the variables. So the best part of the variables in a smart contract is whichever variable you create here and whatever you store in that variable gets stored on the blockchain. Okay. So in normally when you write Java code or C++ code, what you need to do is like, if you create a variable, it gets of course stored in the RAM. It gets stored in the RAM. And if you have to store it permanently, you probably use a, SQL library. You basically use a database to permanently store some kind of data. Otherwise, whatever variables you create in a C++ file or the Java file, that particular variables, and if you store anything in those variables, it gets stored in the RAM. But in Solidity, whenever you create a global variable like this, like inside this parenthesis, whatever variable you create, there's of course there is a RAM kind of thing as well, a temporary storage. But when you create something like this, it gets stored on the blockchain itself. It gets stored in the records. So if I write anything in the if I store anything in the message, it gets stored on the blockchain and it can be like retrieved from the blockchain network in from the everyone's computer. And then you have to write the functions. So same as like any other language, you can write a function hello, where you can pass a message and you can just store that message into whatever you have passed into the message. Once you write this line of code, the thing is, this line of code basically stores the initial message onto the blockchain network. So it's kind of, you don't have to connect to a database or something, because blockchain network is itself a database, and you are just deploying the code, which basically like helps you to store data. So this smart contracts are basically a way to store data, to easily store data onto the blockchain network. And then if you have to like retrieve any data, you just write a function same as like this and just return from that particular function. So that is how like a typical smart contract looks like. I will show like a very heavy smart contract that I recently built as well. So just wait for some time. So if I just compare like the Web2 application development and Web3 application development, in Web2 you probably need storage, which is like Mongo, Firebase, SQL. Then you need backend, which is like written in Node.js, Python, Java, Ruby, and then there is like the front end, HTML, CSS, JS. What changes in the Web3 is like this storage layer is replaced by the blockchain layer. You have like Ethereum network, Polygon network, Solana network. Then the backend is getting replaced by the smart contract. So whatever the logic you have to write to store data, to retrieve data, to process the data, so all that code is being written in the smart contracts, and the languages for them is like Solidity, Viper, Rust. So these are the primary three. There is another language called as Move nowadays that has come into the market. So there are like these four languages that you need to use. And then there is a node provider, which is basically helps you to connect to the blockchain network. So it's nothing that you have to learn. It's just a URL that through which you basically connect to the blockchain network. And then the front end remains the same. Okay, and then you have to get a wallet as well in the front end, but that's a different thing. Mostly on the tech stack part, you just need the front end, the smart contracts and blockchains. And that is why I say if you are a front end developer, you are already a blockchain developer, because blockchain is just mostly replacing the storage layer. We still use Node and Python in the Web3 ecosystem. Node and Python is being introduced to write the smart contracts as well. So soon you will see like you can write the smart contracts in Node, Python. Actually, JavaScript has been already launched. You can write your smart contracts in JavaScript as well in many blockchains, not in Ethereum specifically, but in many blockchains. So smart contracts, these are just languages. This is just code that you can write in any language. Currently, these three are the popular ones. But the only thing that blockchain replaces is the storage layer. And rest of the things like front end, back end almost remains the same. So if you are a web developer, if you are an application developer, mobile app developer, you are already a Web3 developer. So what things you need to start building a dApp? So if you are participating in the hackathon or building or learning about it, what things you need? First of all, of course, the idea. I always say, like, before learning any technology, you should have something in your mind to build upon that particular technology that you are learning. Because just watching YouTube videos, just going through uh, blogs or all those things will not help until and unless you build something out of it after you have completed that particular tutorial. So it is always important to keep an idea in your head that I want to build this application on a blockchain network, and then you can start learning the uh, uh, Web3 development. And then you need a wallet. So I have a MetaMask wallet with me. So there are a lot of wallets in the market now. There is Coinbase wallet, there is MetaMask wallet, there is Talisman wallet, there is Phantom wallet. So, but the easiest one and the most used one is like this MetaMask wallet. This is a Chrome extension that uh, you can like basically download from the Chrome web store. It is available on almost all the browsers. It has a mobile app as well, so you can connect through mobile as well. So you just need to install this MetaMask wallet, create a seed phrase, and you are good to go. That's it. What you need as a wallet. The best part of the wallet is like when you have to connect to a blockchain network, you don't have to like run that client software, and you don't have to do all those things in your computer, because what I said earlier to you is if you want to interact with the blockchain network, you have to run a piece of software, you have to run a piece of client software, and then only you get connected to the network and you can just basically deploy the things and all those things. But with this MetaMask wallet, you don't have to do it. You don't have to run a software, because if I go on like the backend of this wallet, so wallets are basically an abstraction uh, for the users. So once you install a wallet, this wallet basically interacts with the blockchain network, and you basically interact with this particular MetaMask wallet. So it's a bridge between the blockchain network and you, and it basically runs those nodes, those client software behind the scenes for you on behalf of you, and you just have to interact with the UI, and behind the scenes it will basically run the client software and will interact with the network using the RPC URLs and all those things. Of course, from the perspective of decentralization and security, this is not the safest way, like the best or safest way. But I think from the UI UX perspective, if you are not into like millions of dollars of crypto and all those things, or it is like typically safe to use a very high rated wallet, because they actually follow all the guidelines and they are like pretty much secure. But mostly if you have like a lot of crypto, a lot of big smart contracts that you have deployed, you probably use hardware wallets. So hardware wallets are like a piece of small hardware which you can buy on Amazon or Flipkart. It is just a wallet again, but it is not connected to a to a network. It is not connected to a internet, so it is safe, and it is a hardware with you, so no one can hack from like hacking your computer and all those things. MetaMask wallet can get hacked if your computer gets hacked or if someone gets access to your computer. But those hardware wallets are like pretty much safe. So you will see whatever the networks are here, you will see this RPC URL is present. So these are the RPC URLs through which this wallet basically interacts with the backend, uh, with the blockchain network. So here, like I am interacting with the DFK chain. So this wallets interact with the DFK chain by running a node at this particular URL. So a lot of companies basically uh, run the client software, those nodes, those blockchain nodes, and they provide you with a URL. So you just interact with that URL. You don't have to run the whole software in your computer. So the third part was the RPC URL itself. So of course, if you have a wallet, but on the front end, on the back end, when you are developing applications, you need to interact with the blockchain directly. You cannot always go on a Chrome extension and you cannot directly interact with the Chrome. Chrome helps when this MetaMask wallet helps when you are like interacting with a front end with a GUI. But when you are developing things, you are mostly developing in your Remix IDE, in your like in your the VS Code and all those IDEs. So there, to interact with the blockchain, you need RPC URLs, which MetaMask also basically interacts behind the scenes. So you can get RPC URLs from Alchemy. So if I go on like the Alchemy, you can just basically sign in on this platform, and it will basically, if I just sign in with the my account, you will find out it provides like it basically again runs nodes on your behalf and provides you with the URLs. So if I just show you, so you can see a lot of nodes are there. I have already created few apps. So these are not like the decentralized applications. So you can say it is saying like you need an FT API, node API. So I want a node API, our core API for interacting with the nodes. So you just click on that, you create this, and it basically provide you with the URLs. So you can see this is the URL that it has provided you. So if I just click on next, and so it will do all the stuff. So you can see all the, it supports a lot of networks. So you can deploy and interact with a lot of blockchains, whichever you want, the mainnet and the testnet. Mostly when you are developing applications, you will basically interact with the testnets, because on mainnet you need real funds, you need real crypto to interact with that, and that costs money. And deploying on blockchain is not free. So when you are deploying something, it costs money for you to deploy. So you probably have to use a testnet, and testnets are on testnet also you need testnet funds, so you will get that for free. So this was like about the RPC URLs. There are like other platforms as well, like QuickNode, Alchemy, Anchor. Those all provide these RPC URLs. The fourth thing is like, of course, Solidity knowledge, and I will share some resources from where you can start learning the Solidity language. Of course, I cannot cover like uh, teaching the whole Solidity today, but yeah, I will definitely share a lot of resources from which you can start learning Solidity and make your next hackathon project. Then you need like the fourth thing is like the dev environment. So dev environment is mostly like uh, there are three ways to develop the Solidity smart contracts. One is a browser based IDE, which is called as Remix. The second one is Hard Hat. Okay, it's a tooling, it's a tool through which you can basically write smart contracts, deploy smart contracts to your network, upgrade your smart contracts, interact with the networks and all those things. And then same way in Hard Hat, there is another one which is Foundry. So in Foundry you just need Solidity language. So deploying, creating smart contracts, deploying smart contracts and all those things happens in the Solidity language. In Hard Hat, of course you write your smart contracts in Solidity language, but for deploying things you use JavaScript. So if you are like if you know JavaScript already, you can go with the Hard Hat. If you don't know JavaScript and you are like just learning Solidity, you just know Solidity, you can use Foundry because everything in that is in Solidity. And then of course Remix is a browser based extension. So if I go on Remix, so you will find out like here you just have to enter like remix.ethereum.org, and then you can just write smart contracts here. If you have to deploy it, you just click on the, if you have to deploy using the MetaMask, you can click on injected provider, or you can just click on deploy and it will basically deploy a test version of it on a local Ethereum virtual machine. And then you can basically call the functions. So as I said, you can call like get owner, change owner. So I can change the owner. So I can just uh, I can just click on this, put this, and click on this particular function, and it will basically change the owner. And you can then do just get owner and all those things. So this is one way of writing the smart contracts and deploying it, but this is not the best way to do it in production, because let's say your computer crashes or anything happens to your computer, or to your Chrome browser, uh, all the contracts that you have written gets flushed off. Okay, there is no backup. Of course, you can take backup from here, but mostly it is not safe to do it in production environments. The best way is to use hard hat. If I just show you my hard hat project, recently I built a project. So uh, uh, here is this hard hat setup. So hard hat looks like it's just JavaScript and npm thing. So you do like hard npx hard hat in it, it will create a folder for you with all these uh, folders inside it. So there is a hard hat config where you basically mention the private keys through which you want to deploy your smart contracts. You mention your private keys, and then you mention the networks, like which networks you want to deploy. So if you want to deploy on Ethereum or Polygon or any other network, you just basically mention that. So I am deploying on the local network, so I'm mentioning it here. And that's it. You have to just mention the private key, you have to mention the network, and that's it. You are ready to write your smart contract and deploy it. To create smart contracts, you just have to go in the contracts folder, create as many as files here. So I have created a file here already, so which is about like an NFT token or NFT contract. So uh, you can I will share this link so you can go through like what is written in this. But yeah, you just have to write the whole smart contract. You can see the extension is .sol and all those things. And you can use some existing smart contracts as well, which is written by Open Zeppelin. So as in Node.js or any other language, you have libraries, existing code of other people that you basically just import and use. In same way, you can use existing code of other people, mostly the Open Zeppelin, which is basically audited and tested by a lot of people. So this is a safe way to import a code and use the code. And you just can import and reuse those code. You don't have to write everything from scratch. So this is like how you write the smart contracts. And then if you have to deploy it, you basically create scripts. So I have created a script to deploy this token treat contract. So you just mention like the deployer address which I had configured in the hard hat. I mentioned like the contract name which was present, like the token treat, whatever the name you mention here, you have to mention the name, same name here, and that's it. And what happens behind the scenes in contract deployment? So if I just go on deploy contract, it's nothing. I get the chain details. I initialize the contract. I connect the deployer, the private key. I get the ABI, and then I basically call like contract.deploy. So Remix ID also do the same thing behind the scenes, but when you are interacting with the hard hat, you can do it you have to do it yourself, and I think this is the best way to do it in production. This looks a lot of code, but this is not actually. It is like just 10 and 15 minutes of setting up the things, and then 15 minutes of writing these scripts, and there are already a lot of scripts present on the internet that you can use to deploy it. So these are the three. This is the line that you have to write to deploy a contract with the constructor params. You have to wait for the deployment, and once it is done, you will get the address. So this is like the whole thing about the dev environment. So I would recommend to use hard hack, but you can start off with the remix as well. And then you need some testnet funds. Of course, for deployment, you need testnet funds. So if you just search on the internet to get testnet funds for Ethereum, it is mostly called as faucet. So write any blockchain name and write faucet. So you will get these faucets. So you just have to put your wallet address and you will get testnet funds to deploy on test networks. Then there is like, of course, you have to choose your blockchain network. There are now a lot of blockchain. Initially, it was Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now there are like hundreds of blockchain networks. Everyone has its own benefits. Some blockchain networks are totally different, but mostly the EVM chains you can use. And then the last thing that you need is like the client connection libraries. So when you are interacting from the front end, when you write a front end, you have to call your smart contract. So you have to use some library to interact with your smart contract to the blockchain network and do the operations. So for that, we use Web3.js, Ether.js, Vim, Wagmi. So these are some of the libraries, npm libraries present on the internet. In Java and Python also you will find Web3 Python, Web3J for Java. But mostly I will talk about the JavaScript landscape. So you will find these four libraries. Web3.js and Ether.js are like low-level libraries, but they are the best to use. But there are like some hooks already created. Like if you are using React or Next.js, there are already some hooks created. Already a lot of code has been written by the people. So it is like very easy to connect smart contracts and use it. So if I go on Wagmi, so so if I just go on the docs, so React, so you just have to like install the Wagmi library and just set it up. And then if you have to call a contract which you have already deployed, so you have to call, like you can see it provides a lot of functions, so you don't have to write those things yourself using the Ether.js or Web3.js. It provides these hooks that you can easily use in your React or front end, uh, React front end, and just get started with interacting with your contract. So if you want to read something from your contract, anything, any data, you need to use this code. You can just have to copy from here and use it. It's like very easy to use. You don't have to write all those things. Otherwise, if you have to interact with the using Ether.js or Web3.js, you have to get the ABI, you have to get the contract address, and then you have to initialize the contract like this, contract entrant, contract, and then you can interact with those functions. So this is like how Wagmi is used to like directly interact with the stuff. So the key domains that you can build your projects on is mostly like you can build tokens, ERC20 tokens. You can build NFTs. NFTs has been very hit. You can build your own cryptocurrencies, ERC20 tokens. You can build on-chain games. So I have seen a lot of chess games, a lot of on-chain games people using and building upon it, like uh, trivia games. There are some uh, uh, check and reveal games. So you basically put money and you have to reveal at the end, like if that was correct or not. Chess games, kind of thing. Sudoku, on-chain Sudoku. Of course, in that you need some privacy, but you can use ZK and other technologies to do it. But normally you can create NFT games, NFT card games, like anyone just basically issue an NFT. Uh, they have to like stake something and create. They get an NFT and then they can play with that NFT card on a battleground. So all these games that you can create, then you can create like tooling and libraries. So tooling and libraries in the sense you can create npm libraries like Web3.js, Ether.js. So somebody created this Wagmi which helps the front end developers to easily interact uh, with the blockchain network. So you can also create a more easy library better than Wagmi, or for other blockchains you can create some other kind of libraries which basically ease out the development of the developers. Then you can build your own infrastructure protocols. So there are like lending and borrowing protocols, so which allows you to lend and borrow money from the blockchain network. There are like staking protocols. There are like many other protocols available in the market, and you can build another one. And then of course you can build your own blockchain, your own layer 2, if you have a unique idea of building a better, faster and best blockchain. You can do that. The best thing is you can build consumer apps. So build like uh, applications that are already present in the web 2. Of course it should align with the blockchain ecosystem. It is not like you just pick any application in the web 2 and deploy it on web 3. It should have a use case from the web 3 perspective. But let's say a lot of people have built social medias on blockchain, so that no one can stop you from posting. Many people have built like creator apps. So like creators can YouTube creators can uh, uh, put their whole stuff, their musics and all those things, and then they get tokens in return. So you can create those kind of consumer apps. Same way in mobile apps. Mobile apps are not being built many in the market. So if you are a mobile developer, I think there is a great opportunity in this domain. You can build mobile apps because we need more and more mobile apps to basically uh, ease out the uh, user interaction and make it more better on the US perspective, because everyone uses mostly mobile apps. Web apps are also being used, but mobile apps are the key ones that norm the today's generation use. So I think if you are a mobile developer, you can build all these things on the mobile. And then of course you can build dexes and marketplaces. Dexes like swapping of tokens, bridging of tokens, and all those things. So if I just quickly go through the summary of tab development. So if you have to like uh, uh, create your own smart contracts and create your own decentralized application, what you need is like you have to write smart contracts. For that you need Remix, Hardhat, or Foundry. If you are a JavaScript developer, use Hardhat. If you are a Solidity developer, use Foundry. If you are totally new, use Remix. You need a blockchain network. You can choose any blockchain network for, and also for that you need RPC URLs and wallets. So you can use MetaMask wallet for the front end integration, and for deployment and all the other things you need RPC URL. So you can use Anchor and other things. You need to deploy. Once you deploy it, you get two things. You get smart contract address where your code gets deployed, and you get a smart contract API, which is like a blueprint of what your code is. Okay, smart contract address is like where the code is residing on the blockchain network. This is the address where you can find the deployed code. And then the API is like the blueprint which is needed to interact with it, because the smart contracts are mostly stored in low level thing, 010101. So to know what exactly is in that 010101, you need an ABI. ABI is like the details of what the smart contract uh, code contains, what kind of functions, variables, and all those things contain. And once you have these two things, you write a front end, uh, and you just basically use Web3.js and Ether.js to interact with the smart contract deployed on the blockchain. So you basically put the smart contract address and smart contract ABI into the Web3.js Ether.js. It is same thing as you are using a MySQL library. So you need a host and port where you have to interact. So it's the same thing. So you install the Web3.js, Ether.js as MySQL library kind of thing, and you put the host and port, which is basically the smart contract address, like where to interact, and then also the smart contract API, like which gives like what are the details in it. And once you are done, you can interact with the smart contract from the front end, and users can interact with your application. There are a lot of chains, so these are some of the chains that you will find very popular in the market: Polygon, IPFS, Tezos, Bitcoin. You can deploy your own custom blockchain for a specific use case, which we called as app chains. There is Base Network, which is developed by Coinbase. There is Optimism, OP Stack chains, which is based on Optimism and all those things. And then there is Solana, which has Rust-based smart contracts. So you can use any of them. If you ask me, like, which are the best blockchains to start with as a newbie in this ecosystem, I would say these are the blockchains that you can start with. One thing is like Bitcoin. It is like, of course, this is not a dApp development thing on Bitcoin. If you just want to contribute to the Bitcoin code base, so the code base is in C++, Rust, and Python. On Ethereum, Polygon, and EVM based chains, it is Solidity and JavaScript. On Solana, it is Rust, so you need Rust long knowledge. Then there is Tezos blockchain, which has Python based smart contracts. There is another chain which has been recently launched. It has been in the market for 1 year, but it has a new language called as Move base language, like Move language. And then of course IPFS, which is for storing files, images, and videos. It has different kind of storage network. So if you ask me how to start uh, your blockchain journey, so I would suggest to first learn JavaScript, full stack dev or web dev. Don't directly jump on the blockchain thing. It is better like to learn JavaScript and full stack, because then only you can build projects. Otherwise, if you just want to be a Solidity developer, if you just want to focus on Solidity research or Ethereum research, then you don't need JavaScript and all those things. But if you want to be a dApp developer, if you want to build a full stack blockchain developer, then do learn JavaScript and full stack things. Then learn about the Bitcoin blockchain. Okay, not necessary to go in depth, but I think for 1 week, understand how Bitcoin was launched. There is a book called as Croaking Bitcoin. So if you search the internet, you will find this book, Croaking Bitcoin. In Summer of Bitcoin, also, uh, they basically teach from uh, this particular book, and it is present on internet. I think there is a link. I'm not sure where that particular link is, but yeah, I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the one. So you can see this is a Groking Bitcoin. So in Summer of Bitcoin, the founder of this, the author of this book basically teaches you. There is a Summer of Bitcoin program where they teach about Bitcoin, and then you basically write a proposal and contribute to the Bitcoin code base and the related projects code base. So in that, you basically get taught by Kale Rosenbaum, so who is the author of this book. So this is a great book to learn about everything. So I think this is the best resource. Or if you are not into reading books and all those things, you can watch YouTube videos and some articles on the internet for at least 1 week. Understand Bitcoin in depth. Then learn Ethereum. And in Ethereum, I would say for 1 week, understand how the EVM works, how that compiler works, how all those things works, and then learn Solidity in that. So for Solidity, there are a lot of resources like Crypto Zombies course, Web3 Learn, Web3 Dev. On YouTube also now there are a lot of resources for Solidity, free code camp courses. On Udemy also you will find a lot of good courses. The top rated courses are the best ones. So they are like into 300, 400 rupees, and you can just basically get a full knowledge about from starting to end, everything, how to learn and how to do it. So you can talk to those Udemy courses as well if you can stick to it. And once you are done with the Solidity and Ethereum, learn IPFS. It's just a 1 day task, understanding IPFS, how it works, how the things are getting stored on the IPFS. And once you are done with it, Now start building projects. Do not jump to other networks. Now start, at least for next 2 3 months, develop a lot of projects on Ethereum Solidity, because in Web3 projects are everything. If you have projects on your resume, then only somebody will pick you in the interview in your stuff. Maybe participate in Web3 hackathons. There are a lot of hackathons. Participate in Hack the Mountains hackathon, build a project there, and just keep on building in other hackathons, because in that way you will basically learn everything about Solidity and Ethereum. And once you are done you have some confidence, you have a good confidence about your Ethereum knowledge and dApp development knowledge, then jump onto the other networks like Solana, Tezos, Move language, learn Rust. Rust is very important nowadays. It has become a very popular language. Move language. A lot of developers are needed in this space, the Move space. So you can jump onto that and get an internship easily in that, and then just keep on enjoying and keep learning. So you will get to understand everything once you reach this stage. You will be in the ecosystem, so you will get to know about a lot of things, what is happening in the Web3. So just keep on learning and keep on adding new things to your profile. So if you ask me what are the resources, so these are the resources like dApp University. I started with Crypto Zombies. It is still the one of the good courses, hands-on course. Then there is like Build Space, interactive learning is there. Crypto Code School, Questbook, Consensus, Udemy. As I already said, there are a lot of good high-paid courses. Learn Web3 DAO. Of course, there is like EVM blockchain, EPF documentation, Ethereum's protocol wiki. So you can search on internet like Ethereum protocol wiki. So you will find a good. It has like the best documentation, best resource for learning Ethereum, how Ethereum works, and what happens behind the scenes. And these are some other resources like Alchemy University, Morales YouTube, Solana University, and there are a lot of bunch of resources nowadays. So, but these are like some of the good ones that I would recommend. So my suggestion at last would be like, do learn JavaScript, because a lot of things in the blockchain ecosystem happens through the JavaScript only. So it will help you to ease your blockchain journey. And uh, I think mostly this was uh, about like the blockchain and the JavaScript part. And at the end, I would just say participate in hackathons as well. So in Web3, a lot of hackathon happens. The prizes are huge in that. There are like 400k dollars of prizes in the Web3, almost in each hackathon. 100k is like least, and you will easily get like 70k 1000 INR, and like 1 lakh 2 lakh of rupees of prizes are normally present in the hackathons. So I think this is a great way to build, learn, and earn as well. So you can just keep building, keep adding to your resume and profile, and also getting out money out of the hackathons. And from the perspective of like startup, if your idea is very great, you have built a great team, you can launch that particular idea into a startup as well. And I think this is the best way to learn and do something in the ecosystem. So do participate in hackathons and try to gather as much as knowledge from uh, the sessions they conduct, and from the networking that happens in the hackathon. So go to the in-person hackathons, go to the online hackathons. This is the best way to learn. So this was all about today's session. So if anyone has any questions, please let me know. If you want to connect with me, have any doubts, you can connect on this QR code. It will show my profile. So yeah, that was all. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
Mohit,
much.
for delivering such an insightful and engaging session on Web3. And your expertise and passion for the subject truly shone through. I'm stunned at how you were so perfect at covering nooks and corners and making this session a perfect beginner sauce. And since we have the Web3 track in HTM also this year, I'm sure that the ones who joined it left with a wealth of knowledge. And I'm sure that this particular live stream and session will prove to be an asset for anyone who wishes to use this as a resource and start building. And moreover, your suggestions towards the end were definitely cherry on the cake from someone, and I'm sure they came from a place of concern and depth of knowledge. So thank you. And everyone, please feel free to connect with Mohit. All his socials are in the description. Connect with HTM. We have already crossed 3000 registrations already. The call for mentors, call for judges are live, and we are hoping to see you all at Marwari University, Rajkot for HTM5 on 14th and 15th of September. Once again, on the behalf of entire Hack the Mountains team, Mohit, we are truly honored to have you here. You spoke
Thank you,
from
thank,
heart. Thank you so much.
thank you so much.
Thank you.